rarely do I compare down.
Interesting.
I compare up
Right.
or over. I compare over the fence.
Yeah.
Oh, their grass is greener, their pasture's bigger, their house is nicer, their car is cleaner.
Right.
I compare over or up. I rarely compare down. And I read a quote by Abraham Lincoln, and he said, "I will prepare myself, and one day my day will come." But I think what some young leaders are missing the framework for is that quote, "I will prepare myself, and one day my day will come."
Hey, before we jump into the podcast, we want to thank all our donors and supporters who make the Today Count show possible. It's through your generosity that we're able to shape leaders through this content and this podcast. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow wherever you find yourself coming across this content. All right, let's get to the podcast.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Today Counts show. Man, I am so excited about our guest today. And this morning, when I was in the scriptures, I was in the book of Proverbs, like I encourage all of our listeners to do, that I've been doing for a long, long time, is whatever the day of the month is, I read that same corresponding chapter in the book of Proverbs. And I was looking, as I was reading, I came across one verse that I have highlighted, I don't know how many times, probably in every Bible that I own. And it seemed to fit. It seemed to fit today's podcast. It's Proverbs 13. So you're going to know that we recorded on the 13th day anyway. Verse 20, it says, "Whoever walks with the wise becomes wise, but the companion of fools will suffer harm." And Matt, I don't want to make you blush, but I do consider you a wise person.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, the way you make decisions, the way that you lead, you've been leading for a long time.
Yeah.
So let me introduce you, Matt Martin. Matt is an author, and for those of you who are looking at this on YouTube, you'll see that I am holding up the book, which Matt entitled "Notice What Matters." Notice what matters. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today, but in a broader sense, we're going to be talking about principles for life and leadership, and we'll be integrating many of the principles probably regarding this book. So I hope that it will inspire you to not only pick up a copy for yourself, but also share it with others. If you're not in part of any kind of a small group, it'd be great, for that kind of reading. If you are a coach,
Yeah.
I think this would be a tremendous book to add to your library, great sound bites to use, and books to give to those, that you coach. I'm going to be working through it myself for that purpose alone, right there. So Matt, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It is a pleasure to be here.
Well,
honored.
you're on the Today Count show a lot
I am.
because you are also a co-host for the Genesis
Yes.
Project.
Yes.
And we might as well put a plug in for that too.
That's it. We're having a lot of fun with that.
That's right. So the Genesis Project is not really any preaching, although there are some of us who run away with a sermonette or two, but it's really a discussion through the book of Genesis.
Yeah.
And we're having a lot of fun.
We
There's
are.
4 of us that participate in that. And
Yeah.
I'm always sad when you miss an
I know.
episode.
Me too. I look forward to it. And it's going to take us about, a couple decades to get through the 50 chapters, but I believe in us. I believe in us.
Yeah. I got to take care of myself so I can make it to that.
Yeah. Make it to chapter 50. Yeah.
To make it to that finish line. Hey, Matt, before we start talking about your book, and I do have some questions on the front end of your book, let's get to know you a little bit. So maybe just do a little synopsis of your life story.
Yeah.
I mean, where'd you grow up? What have you been doing all these years? What are you doing today?
Yeah. I tell people all the time, I've had a fantastic life. A lot, not without hardship, not without struggle, but I've had a lot of fun. And if it were to end today, I would look back and be like, wow, I was a part of all of that.
That's great
And
perspective. Yeah.
and so, I have so many stories of my life, and I tell people all the time. I said, sometimes I wonder if they're true, but I was there and I lived them. I know they are. And man, I grew up with a great family, had a great childhood, and grew up, most would say, out in the country.
Mhm.
And so I grew up on farmland, if you would, and just a little small Southeast Texas town. And I always had a go-kart, a four-wheeler, a horse, cows, animals, working on something, building fences, tearing down fences, getting bored on a summer day and just building some contraption because that seemed like it'd be fun. I have one of my best friends growing up was my next door neighbor. We decided to rebuild a go-kart one day. And so we were going to paint it, an engine and all, but no, like we weren't old enough to know that how flammable paint was. And so we rebuilt the whole thing and get the engine mounted and get everything going. We were smart enough to do. I mean, we're 11 years old, 12 years old.
Wow.
And we fired it off. And when we did, it shot a spark out the back of it. And the whole thing caught on fire because the paint was so flammable because it was so fresh. Anyway, so we're looking, it's on his back porch and, it's on fire. I'm like, oh God, we're going to burn the house down. But I graduated high school early, went immediately into the workforce, and I worked for the city water and sewer district, and really learned a lot about plumbing and heavy equipment, operating heavy equipment. I grew up, my family were entrepreneurs, and we were in the heavy equipment business. So while most kids get Tonka toys to play with, little trucks,
You had
I
the
had
real
the real
thing.
thing. It was a blast. It was so much fun. Did that, felt called to ministry at age 15, and I had a very real experience with God. And then again, about age 17, God just kind of set me in motion to step into ministry. And so I did that, went to Bible school, college, and but always because of my parents and my own entrepreneur spirit, was always had businesses running, was always figuring out another contract with another, company to figure out how to do some work and make some money. And man, over the years, I've built I had a contract with Clear Channel Entertainment, and I would build the arenas for monster truck shows, motocross.
Crazy.
So I'd get out there and I'd
Yeah.
build these massive ramps and bring the cars in and out that they would crush and all of that. And PBR, professional bull riding, I'd build the arenas for that. The indoor dirt. I like
Yeah.
to do the dirt work, I guess
Okay.
is what I should say. I would do the dirt arenas for that, and rodeos, different things. So just a lot of fun, and all the while just working in my local church, a lot of youth ministry over the years, and things like that. And I was just always, we had years of my life where I was taking heavy equipment apart and putting it in 40-foot containers and shipping it to Malaysia,
Really?
across the world. And so just a lot of experiences, and
Yeah.
I could go on and on and
Very
on and on.
eclectic. Yeah.
Yes, very much so. And then you fast forward till today,
Yeah.
I've got 2 grown kids. My oldest son is married. I have an amazing granddaughter, Paisley, and that's one of the highlights of my life. And helping lead a fantastic, growing multi-site church here in San Antonio, and operate over all the operations of finance, legal, real estate, teaching, preaching. I don't know what my job description is because it's so wide and deep and broad. Who knows? Yes, I do that too.
Yeah. Yeah. From my vantage point, it's, your job description is you do what you do.
Yeah, that's
I
it.
mean, and that's kind of cool. And if you think about it, that's kind of how you have built your resume.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. I mean, not only are you a husband, but you are a father, you are a grandfather, you have an entrepreneurial streak in you, even to this day.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see what happens if the goats come up.
That's it. That will.
Yeah, to a grandfather, a pastor, and as I've shared with you recently, I just enjoy when you get on stage.
Yeah.
And your style, very very excellent communicator, and now we have to add author, to the whole thing. Let me ask you this: you got into a little story about the go-kart catching on fire. It made me think of some of my childhood blunders. But As you have gotten older now, as a seasoned leader, do you find yourself more comfortable talking about your leadership mistakes, or?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Whereas,
yeah.
whereas maybe 15 years ago it was harder to talk about, or what
Yeah.
do you think?
Yeah. I've always said that pride is a cruel taskmaster,
Mhm.
as well as I tell my wife, she laughs. I don't think she means it when she's laughing. I'll say vanity is a cruel
Yeah.
taskmaster as well. And,
Yeah.
as you know, she's worried about the next hair appointment or whatever. And we laugh. I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, don't worry about it. She's like, yeah, that's not funny. But when we're younger, we are so concerned with how others are going to view us,
Yeah.
and it is a cruel taskmaster.
And feel like we have to know.
We have to know, and
Right.
I wish early on I would have said I don't know more,
Mhm.
because it would have opened me up to greater conversations.
But to defend the younger people, sometimes we don't even know what we don't know,
That's it.
right? We don't even know
Yeah.
what questions to ask. I was talking to a young man today and a coaching appointment where, he responded how a lot of young leaders do in a tense situation where, he just kind of came off the leash, so to speak,
Yeah.
and he thought his life was over.
Yeah.
And I gave him like a half a dozen uh, moments in my life
Right.
where I did very similar, very similar things. Um, yeah, I think that's another reason why I'm excited to talk about your
Yeah.
book,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of years in here that are very, very valuable.
Right.
I guess when I look at the title of this book, Notice What Matters, and then your subtitle is Achieving Success with the People, Moments, and Opportunities
Yeah.
in your life. Matt, what was the motive behind? I mean, it's a lot of work to write a book.
Yes, sir.
What was your motive behind? I mean, what spurred you on to take this? Because you are, that eclectic person that you described. You're still that person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm proud of you getting the project done, for
Yeah.
one.
Well,
Yeah.
as you've written several books.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's not for the faint-hearted. That's
No.
for sure. The book is born out of two things. One being, I told you with my life growing up with my family, and how fun it was, and we had a lot of problems. I mean, Lord, I watched family hit rock bottom 2 or 3 times. Like, it's just, it's not all rainbows and roses, but
Right.
so much life experience there. But working with my dad, we just did a lot of things together in business and in life and hunting and being outdoors and doing what we did. And he passed away unexpectedly in 2013. And as I was processing and dealing with the grief, and I wasn't doing a good job with that, so Jennifer and I took a few days off, and I went to Lake Travis. I was sitting on the lake shore up just outside of Austin, rented a little cabin up there, and nobody told me to do this, but I thought I'm just going to write down what Dad taught me. I'm just going to make a list
While you were there.
while I was there,
Yeah.
because she's like, you got to deal with this.
You
Like,
got to
you're,
do something.
yeah, because I talk about this a little bit in the book, but I am they're stewers and they're spewers.
Mhm.
Some people just stew on things and they just press it down and press it down and push it down and push it down. And others just spew. They just, they just, handle, they fly off the handle and, but I'm a stewer. I'm gonna push it down. And so I'd been stewing and it was not good. And so I was just reflecting, just trying to just get my head around, just dealing with life. And so I just started making a list. I had a little journal, and I just started writing. And I wrote, I don't know, 20, 25 things, and of lessons either he taught me verbally or that he just taught me in living. And there was some funny ones on there because he was obsessed with checking the weather. Like, his favorite thing to do was watch reruns on the Weather Channel. I'm like, come on, Dad.
You are joking, right?
Oh, no, I'm not. That was his gig.
No, that is funny.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's what was always on, and just always worried about the weather. But so one of the things on there is always check the weather.
Well, you did live down there.
Yeah, we lived in hurricane country.
Yeah.
So
right.
there was that. But he had phrases like this. Be honest, even if it cost you.
Mm-hmm.
but he also taught me be generous until it costs you. So it was things like that. I began to write those things down. And one of those he said out loud, and the other one I watched him live out. And so, but he would ask this question. We'd be frustrated or puzzled trying to fix a problem, work on a piece of equipment, working the pasture, whatever we were doing. And he would ask me this question. He would say, "Hey, just remember, always ask what really matters." And it just brought it back to center.
Interesting.
Of, hey, why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we focused on what we're focusing on? Why are we making the decisions we're making? What really matters? What's the outcome? What's the desired outcome that we're looking for? And so I
did not know that.
Yeah. So that Jennifer took and made that a piece of art. She took those phrases, surprised me one year, I think for my birthday or Christmas, and made this. So it hangs in my office on the wall. And it's Lessons Learned from Dad, Gene Martin, 1948 to 2013. And it has all these listed out in a cool artwork she had framed up. So that lives in my office now. So I look up, actually, I moved it about 2 years ago, and I put it, so now when I look up from my desk, I'm looking straight at it. So, but anyway, but that question, ask what really matters. And that was that. So that started it. Now it'd be 10 years later before I would start writing the book, over 10 years later. But that began to just percolate in me and begin to move. And then I had a season of dealing with depression and anxiety in 2018. And I over exaggerate probably when I say I ran off the rails. I didn't go do anything stupid. I was just buried by it. And coming out of that, I had some great people around me that really put tools in my hands and really gave me a space to heal. And coming out of that, I began to notice what matters in my life, and it changed my life.
Wow.
So that's the genesis of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. When you, I don't know if this is how you wrote, and I'm not sure there's a exact right way, to write a book. Cause gosh, I've written some books where I have some friends of mine who have written some books. I have some acquaintances who've written some books, and some of them have really grabbed me, and they've only sold like 500, and just amazing books. And supposedly they didn't write it right or something, and other books I've read that I didn't really think were that great. And they're like, international bestsellers, translated.
That happened. Yeah. 7 languages.
Yeah, exactly. But one of the things that I've been doing in my writing, which I think it makes it harder for me now, but I'm imagining who I'm writing to.
Yes.
And did you have anyone in mind, particularly as you were writing this?
I did. One, I had a broken version of me.
Oh, wow.
In mind.
Yeah.
That would be one audience I had in mind. Wow. In my broken place. What did I need to hear? What did in my leadership questions, what do I wish a leader would have told me?
Wow.
And so that was some of the audience I had in mind. I took myself back as a young leader and thought, as I'm working this out, what did they not tell me? What did they not say to me? What question did I not ask? What dumb question did I ask that I shouldn't have asked? That I could have reframed better. And so that was as I was writing through this. And then you've been here. I was writing to my 2 boys and my daughter-in-law and my granddaughter. That as they grow up, what matters? What really matters as you lead your family, as you move in your circle of friends, as you grow in, you rise in the company. And my kids are doing that. And I believe the best for, little Paisley at 2 years old right now. I want her to have a handbook to look at and say, if I'm going to be a great leader, if I'm going to be a great spouse, if I'm going to be if I'm going to succeed with what really matters in life, to me, the summary of the book, you have your Genesis, you have the all the good stuff in the middle, but a good summary I put on the last page as the last quote, and it's from the missionary William Carey, who would be known as the father of kind of any modern missions movements we would have that we work off frameworks we work off today. It goes back to him. But he made this statement. He said, "I'm not afraid of failure. I am afraid of succeeding at things that don't matter." And that is just a call to purpose. That is a call to what am, because success will lie to you.
Yeah.
Failure will lie to you as well. It tells you you're worse than you really
That's
are.
good. Yeah.
But success will lie to you because it'll tell you that you're winning in places you aren't winning.
Mm-hmm.
And so many people are going through their life and they feel like they're winning in one area, but they're losing in another.
Mm-hmm.
And we address all of those things in the book of make sure you're winning. You're at the right target. You're aiming at the right bullseye. So that's the target.
You know, Matt, I think it's fair. Hopefully you agree. We've become friends.
Yes.
Right.
Oh yes.
And but there's a whole nother layer in my respect to you. So this question that I have is a bit selfish. I want to ask you this. So in my ministry, I work with a lot of young and upcoming leaders, and then I work with some seasoned leaders and everyone in between.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think is common to man, but it just seems very intense in my dealings, and I wonder what you would say to this. But in the Western way of thinking, and by the way, what I'm trying to bring up here is you and your bride Jennifer, you're part of a movement. Leading from the second chair, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
And it really talks about, I don't know how much it differentiates between first and second. I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
But it really talks about the nobility
Right.
of, as I'm looking on the outside looking in and just kind of, putting my ear to the wall and what you guys are talking about. But in the groups that I work with, there seems to be this, if I don't become the CEO, I have failed.
Yeah.
That's one thing. The other thing is this big comparison thing.
Yeah.
Some get bonused, $500,000 in stock.
Yeah.
But somebody else got bonused $1 million in stock.
Yeah.
Or what have you. And the reason why I'm asking this question is because I'm wondering what the Matt Martin is on the other side of this time of depression. You talked about losing your dad, and that probably was some acute depression there.
Yeah.
Then it looked like maybe you came out of it a little bit, but then entered into it.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at this Matt Martin on the other side of it, and I'm looking at this book that you've written. I'm looking at these phrases that your father has given you. I remember a story you tell all the time is that you, and this is how I picture it anyway, you and your dad are driving down the road in the truck. Yeah. And I'm assuming it was a truck.
Oh, most definitely.
Okay.
I've never seen him drive I never saw him drive a car.
Okay. And somehow some subject would come up. Maybe you brought it up. Maybe he brought it up. I don't know who brought it up, but he would always throw it back in your lap.
Yes.
What do you think?
Yes.
What do you think?
Yes.
And really, trying to teach you how to think on your own, I guess. But what would you say to these men and women that I'm working with and that I really love and care about? And, somebody gets promoted and they don't, I think I gave you a good enough example of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I think that fits into your book, does it not?
Yeah. There's one of the phrases I use in the book is, we are human beings, not human doings. And most people, comparison, insecurities typically are derived from a place of either what we are not or what we think we are not or what we don't have. So rarely do I compare down.
Interesting.
I compare up.
Right.
Or over. I compare over the fence.
Yeah.
Oh, their grass is greener, their pasture is bigger, their Their house is nicer. Their car is cleaner.
Right.
I compare over or up. I rarely compare down.
Yeah. Well, my car is always cleaner.
Your car
but
is
that's an issue.
Your car is always cleaner.
I need therapy on that.
Yes, maybe it's unhealthy clean. Anyway. So as as a young leader, I would look and I would probably envy is a good word. Compare. It's what you're talking about. They got this, I did not. On the other side of that now, in most cases, I don't want to have to caveat everything, but in most cases, they have paid a price that most never see. I could tell you stories. I sit in the seat I sit in today because of some private prices I've paid that nobody knows about.
Right.
That stories I've shared very few of. Of there was the good times. But what about when it was lean? What about when it was confusing? What about when it was difficult? What about when it was easier to walk away than to stay? And as a young leader, I didn't have a good enough appreciation or even maybe an accurate framework to even put that in, because you just can't live in this, as a young leader. Well, I guess I'll take a hit somewhere and I'll be worthy of the whatever. Well, no, it all happens in process. One of the quotes, I was 23 years old, I believe. I have a very unique memory. It's nearly photogenic, so it's a curse at times.
Yeah.
It's not photogenic, but it's close. But I remember where I was sitting, and I can remember the day and the desk I was sitting at and the book I was reading. And I read a quote by Abraham Lincoln. And I actually put the backstory in my book because it impacted me so much. I went and found, I didn't even know there was a backstory to it.
Oh, really?
And it was from when he was a young child. I actually thought it was from when he was older. But a teacher had pretty much harassed him and was kind of almost getting on to him. And he made this statement. And he said, I will prepare myself, and one day my day will come. Now, Lincoln would go on and have multiple failures in his life.
Right.
Multiple Senate failures, multiple political failures.
Right.
We all know Lincoln, obviously.
Business too, I think.
Yeah, in business, had multiple business failures.
And lost loved ones.
And lost loved ones and, kids.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, and then, later on would obviously become 16th president of the United States. But I think what some young leaders are missing the framework for is that quote, I will prepare myself, and one day my day will come. We think we get to choose the day.
Yeah.
No, we get to choose the preparation.
That's good, Matt.
So as a young leader that may be frustrated with, I didn't get the bonus they got.
Yeah.
I worked harder. No, you were preparing right now because you don't know what all they've done. You don't know the secret battles. You don't know the heartache and the pain. Lincoln took a lot of, I need to reframe my metaphor. I was going to say he took a lot of shots. He literally did.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he took a lot of criticism for the way he led, the way he led through the war. We both, I don't know that either one of us have finished it. Speaking of books that Doris Kearns wrote with, Lincoln's leadership. And, but I mean, it's, 1,000 pages, but it is intense. Talking about the way he led with those who hated him, and he gave them a seat at the table so that he could hear the criticism to make better decisions. Young leaders, that's hard because our egos get in the way.
Our egos I heard this not long ago. The most expensive thing we own is our ego.
Yeah, there you go. That's so true.
Yeah,
that's so true. So, but I think we're missing. We choose the preparation, and we're going to look up one day, and there's going to be an opportunity, and we shouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
So there were seasons of my life where I was shocked, and I still mean this. I'm just as surprised as anybody to be standing in the shoes I'm standing in.
Yeah.
Like, with the book, this is a little bit side note, but humorous. So the book was #1 on Amazon, which there's a whole algorithm. You could, you can make it happen, but it's, you work hard and get a little bit.
Yeah.
But after day 6, when I'm still #1 in 4 categories and I'm a top seller in the best selling categories, my publisher calls and you could hear like she didn't know how to approach it with me. Hey, we need to talk about this. Your book's doing really good as a bestseller on Amazon. And I could hear what she wasn't saying. Nobody expected this to happen. like she said, we need to retool and reframe some of our marketing strategy now because we have a legitimate product.
We've
here.
got some traction.
Yeah, and so I could hear her saying that, and I was laughing because I was like, it's okay, nobody expected it, but at this point, 10 years ago, I would have said I'm shocked. And in a laughing false humility, I would say that today, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Because I've prepared.
Mm-hmm.
And one day my day will come.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a day.
Yeah.
That was a moment for me. And it didn't happen by accident.
Yeah.
It happened because of hours and years of preparation that at 23 years old, it was interesting. I was in youth ministry and thought I wanted to do that my whole life in the local church. But I kept going to these leadership books. I quit reading the how to have the best youth group games. And I started reading these leadership books and I couldn't get away from them. And every time I'd go get a new book, I'd get the leadership book.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what was happening. But now as I look back over the last 30 years, I was preparing myself.
Yeah.
And I was reading about how to be a great second chair leader. And I was reading how to be a great supporting leader. And I was reading how to be a great organizational leader. And I just kept, and then the power of compound interest of knowledge began to take over.
Yeah. I wonder if you realize this. I see it from where I sit, but you have become such a dynamic second chair leader that the first chair leader often follows you.
Correct. I made the statement to Jennifer last week. Our circle consists of first chair leaders.
There have been seasons in my life where I've looked back and I thought, what was that even about? Did I grow in that season? Did I get better? Am I still stuck in that season? If you have similar thoughts, I want to introduce you to a book called Story, The Art of Learning from Your Past. This book, written by Jim Piper, shares principles and stories that actually help us get unstuck and step into the future we've always wanted. Be sure to stop by leadtodaycommunity.com to grab your copy today.
Yeah, I'd like to add a little bit to what you said. Sometimes it's that shiny thing that may catch our attention, whether it be a title, whether it be more money, a sense of recognition of some sort. But like a friend asked me the other day about a situation he was in, question I asked back to him, I said, well, have you ever really thought about do you really want that job?
Mm-hmm.
There's a possibility of an opening coming up, but she thinks that she probably won't get it. But then I asked her, well, is your mind focused on you possibly won't get it? Or have you really thought about, is that even the job you want?
Yeah.
And there's always another side to these kinds of things that I wonder if we do enough thinking to say, well, what is demanded in that role may not be something that you want to give.
I made a shift.
I mean, it goes back to notice what matters, right?
I wrote about this. I wrote Notice What Matters, not to help you succeed in what you do, but to help you succeed in who you are.
I read that.
And we're going in now early on, you're scrappy. I mean, I follow enough leaders and I did it and you did it, man. I'm going to take every opportunity. I'm going to chase it down and I'm going to find out that that wasn't the thing. So I'm going to chase the next thing. Now you're still doing this with purpose and direction and intention, but you don't know what you don't know. You don't know what the outcome could be. So we take it to a certain level. And there's jobs I've had that okay, that was a bad idea. Let's not do that again.
Mm-hmm.
There's opportunities. There's companies I've worked with in over the contracting years, over the years of contracting out with them, that I was like, man, okay, I'm ready for that to end. That run is over. But each of them were developing me into who I am today. So now when I look at a job opportunity or a relationship, a vendor relationship, a contract relationship, I'm looking at it now is, who am I going to become by taking that job? Not what title will I have, not because titles are, they're built on a house of cards. It's just, it's just one thing removes all of that. So, but not in what will I do, but if I take this job, if I go in this direction, if I link up with this client for a season, who will I become? And if I don't like who I will become out of that, so one of the in the book I talk about, you have to know your values, and I give you an exercise, and I list mine out. I list my values out in there.
Yeah.
And but I give you an exercise on how to do it, because if you don't know your values, then you don't know who you're trying to become. So then you don't know what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
It's all it all has an effect.
It's almost like you're living unconsciously.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, and most people are. I've made this statement for years, and it was happening. And I think I say this because it was happening to me. Life was happening to me. I was not happening to life. And too many people live like that. They get in the rut. They get into.
Yeah.
I have a friend. I think it's in the introduction. He told me. He said, a rut is just simply a grave with both ends knocked out. And I don't want to live like that.
Right.
I don't want to live in a place where I'm just and it's just not. And so as a young leader, I think it's imperative that you chase down the opportunities, which helps you refine chasing down the right opportunities. Jim, you and I are in a space of life. We might call it time management, but we don't do much time management anymore. We do energy management.
That is so, man, you nailed it.
So when I look at my day,
Yeah.
yes, I see the appointments. I looked at tomorrow's, got a little bit overwhelmed. I'm surviving today's, is what I feel like, unfortunately. And I mean, I have a brilliant individual that schedules my calendar, but I had some interruptions that happened.
Yeah.
So at this point, it's not about, do I have the time to get it done? Do I have the energy to get it done?
But just like you're saying here, I got to tag on with you because I am connected with this so much. And this person that does your calendar will even become more brilliant when they're able to think about the nuances that you are referring to, because the first person happens to is us.
Yeah.
When we start saying, okay, I'm going to be out late that night doing this.
Yeah.
The next morning, I need to make sure I'm scheduling this. Yeah. And it's not necessarily because we're soft or we're running from something. It's that we recognize that energy is a real,
it's real.
It's a real thing.
That is real. There is a age and stage of life I'm living at now. And let me go back to the young leader. If you're a young leader and you're married, you have a small children at home, you're in an age and stage that is not forever. It's exhausting, but it's not forever.
It's a season.
It's a season.
Yeah.
It is a season. Now, in some cases, it's a 15, 20 year season. But embrace the season.
But even that's broken up into seasons.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Enjoy the season. Embrace the season, because you don't get it back.
Yeah.
I don't get back my best memories with my boys when they were young, throwing the ball in the street. One of the heartbreaks of my life. And thankfully my children have grace, and they have grace for me. But one of the heartbreaks of my life is when I was in one of these dark places, and Brady and I are throwing the ball in the street. That was our thing. That was what we did. I could go a long list of how I've interacted with my boys and helped them develop. But one of the things we do, it was intentional. And whatever time of year it was either a football or a baseball. It was never a soccer ball, but it was a football or a baseball. And we were either coming out of the season or getting ready for the next season. Like we were doing it, and it was fun. But one day we're throwing the football, and he said, and I'm just throwing a football. I'm not even, I think I'm just throwing a football. He said, Dad, why are you so angry? Why are you throwing the football like you're mad? I had no idea.
You were somewhere else.
Yeah, I was somewhere else. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I talk about this in the book quite a bit, that we think that the fear of missing out and is what I'm missing out over there.
Yeah.
Like I see, I go, I'm not at that. I didn't make it over there. When really, what I argue is what we're missing out on is what's happening right in front of us. Like while my mind is over there, unfortunately, there were days that my physical body was at the kitchen table, but I wasn't there. I wasn't locked into my family. I missed moments. I didn't achieve success in those opportunities because I thought I was missing out on something over there, but I'm not. Eddie Hillesum in 1941, she yeah, let me just read it. Let me just read it because it's so powerful of how she said it. She survived part of the Holocaust, and I have a chapter in chapter 3 called "You Are Missing Out."
I'm impressed you can read without glasses.
Oh, I haven't got there yet. She said the fear of missing out on things makes you miss out on everything.
Oh boy.
Keeps you from reality. And there were seasons of my life where I missed, as a young leader, I missed the reality of sitting at the table with my family because I was worried about a deadline that I thought I'd missed, or I was worried about somebody's opinion of me, and they weren't even thinking about me, but I'd created a whole story of they're so disappointed, especially for people pleasers. This is tough. They're so disappointed in me. They're upset with me. They're mad at me. And I've got to, hey, that's fun over there. They're doing this, having fun, and I'm stuck here. Think about that. I'm stuck here at the dinner table with my family.
Right.
Like as you say it 20 years later,
yeah,
you hear the fallacy and the heresy of it.
I can hear the song "Cats in the Cradle" background right now.
Oh God, I didn't think about that. Yeah. So that is, it's understanding that age and stage of life as a leader, you're going to work the long hours. You're not going to get the recognition you deserve, but no better place to be a hero than at home. Like go home and be the one they look up to at home. And I don't know, that's a challenge I'm really pushing to young leaders because there's so much formed when our kids are young in the home. And if we're clocked out somewhere else and looking over the fence at whatever that could be for you, and you're missing the moment right in front of you, you've really missed out.
It was some of the young leaders I've noticed, and maybe I struggled with it too. Actually, I know I did. Now that I think about it, at least at certain intersections in my life, I was fearful in making a decision because if I made a decision yes for something, I was saying no to something else, which is necessary.
Yeah.
But it does seem like that's one of the things that young leaders do struggle with is decision making. Mm-hmm. And they're afraid of making the wrong decision. Yeah. I don't know how we could encourage them to try to free themselves, from that. The only analogies I have are dumb. I'm thinking about, I'm lining a putt up. A pro has taught me this. I'm lining a putt up, and it looks like it's going to break a certain way. I made up my mind that I'm going to go ahead and hit it that way. But then when I stand over the putt, it looks different. And so in my backswing, I change my mind, and I put it in a different than how I planned, and it's always a disaster.
Yes.
And because I never really made a decision.
Yeah.
And what the pro told me is that in a whole round of golf, if you look at things, make the best decision you can, and stick with it, you will do better that way than you will second guessing yourself, constantly. I want to say one thing and then turn it to a question in your book. It's interesting how life kind of brings us around, isn't it? I mean, if we're paying attention,
right? Because
just because you grow older doesn't mean you grow wiser. I unfortunately know too many that to this day don't really care about what we're talking about. No. And so I went through a process of creating what I call a playbook, and what a lot of my colleagues still get confused is they think the playbook encompasses everything.
Right.
And when what we say about the playbook is your playbook is about what you must do to get you where you want to go. And again, It is mostly based on how you have put it, who I'm becoming,
Right.
because whom I'm becoming is the golden goose. I
Right.
mean, it is that. So what are some examples, don't want you to give all the content away, but notice what matters. What are some of those things that matter?
Yeah. It's funny because, that list is completely subjective to whoever's writing it.
Could be.
And so I began.
It could be, but maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some central things.
Yeah. And that's what I really tried to drill down on. Again, going back to that audience, that young leader, that broken me, that the person who is obsessed with personal growth.
Yeah.
I've really that's been a journey I've been on for so many years. I want to be better.
Mm-hmm.
So what do I need to matter?
To be healthier.
Yeah. What do I need to notice? What needs to matter in my life so that I can be a better leader, a better husband, a better dad, a better now grandfather. Serve my employees better, serve my leaders better. So I wrote it with again with those in mind, and I cover several things. One is one of the chapters is notice your design. You have a God-given design, and I give you a framework on how to notice that and what to do with it. What questions do I need to even ask to know how God designed me? Well, we unpack that. Another thing is notice your circle. You started with a great verse from Scripture, out of Proverbs.
Right.
Walk with the wise; they become wise.
Right.
A companion of fools
suffers harm.
The word suffers. That's accurate.
Yeah, that's big.
That is accurate. And I address. It's funny. I addressed that through a childhood story from my Boy Scout days. I took the advice of a friend and fell out of a tree. And I'll let you read the book to find how the story ends. It was painful. It was painful because I took the advice of a friend.
You told me that story one time, so that's why I'm chuckling.
Yes, it's horrible, but I suffered harm.
Well, and back to that proverb, just for us, our bantering here, is some of the mistakes I've made to that point. Is there might have been something about that somebody that attracted me to them. It was that shiny something, but I didn't look at the whole of that person and found out that I got caught in the web of that. And it's always easier to start something than it is to get out of something.
That's it. That's so true. So a couple of topics that, to notice what matters. Notice your circle.
Okay.
Notice who you're hanging out with. No,
that's the proverb.
Here's the thing. If you have a friend that you wouldn't recommend them to be a friend, why are you still their friend?
Oh, it's a great question. Yeah.
No, why are you still hanging out with them?
Yeah.
If you wouldn't recommend somebody else to hang out with them, then why are you? Notice your circle. One of the things I get into is talk about your emotions. And so we call it EQ. Notice your EQ, your emotional quotient. But I use the great, the most famous, you're a Southern California guy, but, UCLA coach, John Wooden.
Yeah.
And what he say? He said, if you let your emotions get out of control, you will be outplayed.
Mm-hmm.
And so
it's always true.
Because emotions can guide, but they should never drive.
Right. Oh, that's good. There's a difference.
There is a difference. And so that's the opening phrase of that chapter. So you need to notice that. You need to, how am I handling life with my emotions? I talk about notice their potential. So in your family, in your team that you're leading, I've developed a framework called the C method. When you see something in them, call it out. I don't know if I should say it or make them go read the book to see what the C method is.
But we save it. Yeah.
Let's save that. So, we're unpacking those ideas. I go through, I think there's 10 different things to notice, that we unpack as individual topics, if you would, that obviously they all flow together, but,
I haven't read every word of your book yet, but I've read a good portion of it. And, some of the things that really appealed to me is that you cause me to think. Mm-hmm. And whenever somebody causes me to think, it usually leads to some sort of change that I'm going to make. Yeah. And every change that I'm going to make moves me more towards what my playbook is generally about, which is health.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those guys, and my listeners know that. And if they've known me since I was a kid, they know that I really didn't have gears. I just had one gear,
Yeah,
and it was
yeah.
go fast
That's it.
and hard, and so that turned into all kinds of experiences, great highs, but also great lows. Physical issues, probably because I was pushing myself too hard, right?
Right.
Emotional, depletedness, if you will. And I never really thought of myself as a people pleaser, but that's a lie.
Oh, we are. It's
right. And I would think there's a good, I mean, unless you're completely narcissistic or you're on the borderline, there's probably some of that in all of us.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Yes.
In that way, where we need
Yeah.
well, we need affirmation. There is a point of need that makes sense, and then there's where you lose yourself, in those kinds of things.
Yeah, and I did. I lost myself in a lot of areas, and reclaiming yourself has value. But man, if I'd had a guide on the front end to building myself instead of having to go back and reclaim myself, I would have really appreciated that. The years, 20 years ago, Jennifer and I built a house, and the brick we put on it is something, I forgot the exact name, but it's basically an old New Orleans look. They have a name for it. I can't think of it right now. But the idea is it's made to look like the reclaimed brick that they tore down off these old Southern buildings.
A facade of some sort. Yeah.
And when we built the house, it looked good. Again, what I'm getting at, there's value in both. But it didn't have the scars. It didn't have the survival in it. So I'm not trying to build a guide here that prevents you from hurting. I'm trying to. I tried to build a guide, a book here that would help you to do one, prevent some of it, but then what do I do with those scars?
Give some perspective too.
There's perspective. There's some beauty in that.
Yeah.
My house that I built with my own hands didn't look like that house out of South Louisiana in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Because that brick was brand new from Acme Brick Company, made to look a little bit distressed.
There is so much beauty in our lives if we'll take the time to see it from God's perspective.
That's it.
Our failures as well as our successes.
Yeah.
Where I was getting at is that if somebody is looking for more peace in their life, man, I just can't recommend this book enough.
I agree.
If somebody's looking for perspective, if something is troubling them, whatever that something is, this is, I'm going to use the word. I think it's insightful and therapeutic, and directional.
Yeah, it is. I had a phone call the other day from someone I'm pretty close to, and in one of the chapters, I talk about having a mantra, and I use what Ski Patrol uses, because Ski Patrol has a mantra, as well as first aid emergency workers. They have a mantra, and it's 3 words, and it's this is how we're going to take care of our job. So I recommend you have an exercise similar to this in your playbook, but so I recommend having a mantra for your life. What is it that I'm going to? What is it that's going to bring me back to center? Chaos can be happening everywhere, but what's going to bring me back?
Yeah,
and it's funny because I talk about the one of the chapters called is Notice Your Design, and that I use a story from Coach Darrell K. Royal, who is a Texas legend for football. I mean, so much so we've named the stadium after at the University of Texas.
Okay.
They created the wishbone play.
Okay, and, I'm familiar with that.
Yes, and his team of coaches created that and changed the game of football, really, with that back in the 70s, even 60s, 70s, and early 80s with that. But they refined this play, and somebody asked Coach Royal one day, a newspaper article, and I quote it, and they asked him about a certain player and some things, some changes he was making with the team. And he said, "Well, I'm just going to say this." He said, "I talked to an old lumberjack in Washington State one time, and he told me, he said, Daryl, if I had 5 minutes to cut down a tree, I would spend the first 3 minutes sharpening the axe." He said, because we're losing so much because we're swinging harder instead of sharpening our skills and our designs so that we can swing and make a difference. Because he said, I want each cut and each blow to penetrate and to start chopping. He said, but too many people let their axe get dull. He said, and so their remedy is to swing harder instead of sharpening the axe.
This book is going to put you in more demand. How are you going to keep yourself sharp? How are you going to keep yourself from becoming the sick doctor?
Yes. So here's where I'm at.
Is that a fair question?
That's a great question.
Okay.
So here's what I've done.
All right.
Age and stage of life. So I do not have young children at home.
Yeah.
I would adjust this to this, but maybe this will help a leader. Maybe this will help a young leader that will do this. At your prodding a little bit, and then another friend of mine, I'm a pencil and paper guy.
Yeah.
Like I use a computer because I have to.
Right.
I would love to have a flip phone. I would love to have no phone. Honestly, that would be ideal in my world. I would love to go back to landlines. I could choose. So I went and bought a Remarkable tablet.
Yes, I have one.
And this is not a plug for them. It's because I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah.
But here's what it did for me. The way that it interacts with technology and what it does, this unfolded after I bought my Remarkable. Like I'd been kind of thinking this, but this put it on fake paper because that's what it's like writing on a Remarkable.
It feels like it. Yeah.
Yeah. My life is in 3 areas. So is my main job with leading our church and what I'm doing. It is with the organization you talked about, Leading Second, helping second chair leaders across the U.S. and Canada. I was actually on the phone with one in England the other day.
Okay.
We're working some things there. And then what is the book, which is my company called Aligned Purpose Group. I work out of those 3 areas now.
Okay.
If it does not fit one of those, it does not happen in my life.
Okay.
Now I don't want to caveat my marriage, my kids, that all has its place. I'm not, but as a whole. So if I get an invitation that's outside of those 3 right now, for the next decade of my life, I'm giving myself to those 3 things.
And you're working in those 3 things at a certain elevation that is a different approach that you would have been doing 20 years ago.
Right. Yeah. So, just trying as a young leader coming up, or a mid, maybe you're a leader in the middle.
Yeah.
You're not young, you're not old, you're
right.
You've got some chops under you, but you still got some place, you still got a lot of time in front of you. Start modeling, digging out. What I'm trying to say, start digging out your true purpose. What is it that excites you? What is it that motivates you? What is it that makes you cry? What is it that makes you smile? What is it that makes you, just leap with joy?
Yeah.
And start refining your life and your jobs and your roles into that. And you're going to find yourself at whatever stage and age of life, whatever that, for me, just because we had kids young, I hit it at 50, right at 50. So I'm, some people hit a little bit later, some maybe a little younger, whatever that is. I have a good friend of mine. They don't have kids, and he's been in this vein since about the age of 42 or 3. And he said, I'm going to do these 2 things. And he is just wildly successful because he began to narrow his focus. So.
Yeah. I often say that eliminating is what increases your speed.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So the Today Counts show is a show that is focused on a Christian worldview in the area of life and leadership, particularly dedicated to the next generation of leaders.
Yeah.
And it is sponsored. It's propped up by the Lead Today community.
Yeah.
And so I'm not kidding when I say that. Notice what matters is going to become one of the resources
Okay.
that
Thank you.
we are going to promote
Thank you.
to those that we work with face to face and those that we work with virtually. And another phrase came to my mind. I just want to make sure you're okay with it. I see it as a book that can really help people develop a philosophy of life.
Yes. Yeah, we hit at it a while ago. And to come back to it, some people just simply don't know where they're trying to go.
Yeah.
And so they get there with too many regrets.
Yeah.
Some feel like they're trying to go 6 places.
Mm-hmm.
But we know you can't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that just don't work.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know, something's going to break eventually. And I put it in the book, the tool that really, it's so simple, that changed my life. I heard it from Zig Ziglar years ago. That's a throwback. There's only a few of us that'll know that name these days. But
a good book.
I was listening to a talk Zig was giving, and he talked about, I think he called it the Wheel of Life is what he called it. I went in and I've retooled it to what was working for me, and then I just put my version in the book.
Oh, the Wheel of Life.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I call it now the Notice What Matters wheel.
Okay, great.
And what it is, I give you 8 or 9 categories depending on how you want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
For you, and it's like a bicycle wheel, and you're the hub.
Okay.
And each spoke that comes out of it, and I give you I give you the categories in the list.
Okay.
And you self-evaluate.
Yeah.
And you put a dot around, and then you draw the circle or the broken, uneven circle. Because, you know, if you're 0 being the lowest, 10 being the highest,
right.
You know, you're fully, think of a bicycle tire, I'm fully aired up.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm an 8 or a 9 in my physical health,
yeah,
but my personal growth is at a 1, well, then that's a big dip in the wheel. Well, what happens when a wheel is not round?
Thud,
it gets bumpy.
Yeah.
And so many people are living a bumpy life.
Yeah.
Because they're airing up the wrong. This is what I said earlier. Success will lie to you. I'm winning at my job, but my family's losing.
Yeah, it's going to break down the rest of the wheel eventually.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so this tool is a way for you to kind of, because we're not trying to balance our lives. I don't believe in balance.
Yeah.
I believe in rhythms.
Yeah.
I believe in rhythms and seasons.
Right.
Rhythms allow me to truly succeed, because we're trying to measure. When you talk about balance causes you try to measure in hours and days.
Mm-hmm.
Seasons or rhythms allow me to measure in weeks, months, and years. So I need to measure my life not by hours and days.
When I think of balancing, you know what I think of? I think of the high wire guy, and I'm going, I don't want to do that.
That looks terrible.
And then I think of whack-a-mole. Those are the 2 things I think of.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave up on balance a long time ago. I had a young college student just recently said, I'm trying to balance my life. I said, well, that's your first problem. Yeah. And they looked at me and they're like, oh, that's what we're supposed to do. I'm like, no, you need to live in rhythm.
Yeah, another child to the soundbite world.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah. When we learn to live in rhythm, that's what I had to get to. That's one of the things I had to notice in my life.
Yeah.
Is quit trying to balance my life.
Yeah.
Get in rhythm, because rhythm stretches out. Rhythm is it's the note that holds a little longer.
And a lot of times it's just consciously recognizing what season you're in.
That's
you might be in a 4-week season where it's pedal to the metal.
Yeah.
And God gives you the graces to do that. You might be in a season of rest. You might be in a season of reflection.
Yeah.
You might be in a season of serving. It's all kinds of different things.
Yeah, because there's seasons of my life where my family doesn't get the best of me.
No.
My project.
They probably need a break from you anyway.
They're ready for me to be gone a little bit more anyway. But then there's other seasons of my life where my family gets the best of me.
Yeah.
And being intentional about that, being purposeful about that, noticing those moments, and just looking at, when I look at what my family's doing, and there's sometimes, this is why the balance thing don't work. There's sometimes I need to disrupt or adjust the rhythm because my kids may be suffering. So I need to adjust the rhythm of what I'm doing so I can take care of that. The Notice What Matters wheel allows you to evaluate that. And there's a whole action list that goes with it. And then I tell you how to plug it into your calendar. I do this every year. and it's changed my life.
Mhm.
I'm a better everything
Yeah.
because of that.
Yeah. The longer term we think, the better decisions we make, and
Yes.
and the calendar can really be a
Yeah.
tool.
Yeah. Hey, on that, you just said this. There is a quote by my good friend Jim Piper
There is, huh?
in this book. I had to go look it up. I had to go find it.
I haven't run across
I
that
had
yet.
to go find it in your book Story.
Oh,
because I read that book
okay,
twice. By
okay,
the
yeah,
way.
yeah.
I had to go find it in your book that our basically our consequences are always waiting on our decisions.
Oh man, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's that I messed it up a little bit, but it
Yeah.
is verbatim in my book,
yeah,
and I quoted it. So
Yeah.
because our consequences are they really are. They're just waiting on the decisions that we're making today. And
Yeah.
I want to help. I want to help leaders. I want to help people make better decisions today, because what I notice today will impact what I do tomorrow.
Sounds like today counts.
There you go.
Matt, right in the front end, you mentioned your book trending as a bestseller on
Yeah.
Amazon. And is there any other place they can pick this?
Yeah,
book
anywhere
up?
books are
Or
sold.
where do you want them to get it?
Yeah, anywhere books are sold.
Okay.
Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million. They're starting the distribution. Walmart.com. It's there already. I believe it. Target. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
My distribution's still getting out there, and then we're going to get it into physical bookstores as well. But right now, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, and Walmart.com.
For those of you listening, before we sign off, I just want to encourage you in this way. Sometimes we don't realize the the positive effects that we can have on others just by doing things for ourselves that are right. So let's say that you make a commitment to, you haven't read a book in a while.
Yeah.
You make a commitment to buy this book, get this book. And because I'm so confident that you're going to be moved by it, then the next step is to literally tell other people about it. And that can be a way that you bless.
Yeah.
We're always looking for concrete ways of blessing other people, and good information, helping us all think better. Those are great ways to do it.
Yeah.
So
there are more resources also at noticewhatmatters.com.
Oh, noticewhatmatters.com.
So there's a whole website full of resources.
That's part of that section, that third thing that you're developing, right? Okay, beautiful.
So all of that's there. The Notice What Matters wheel, you can get a copy of it there. You can work it out there. The instructions are in the book. They're there as well. But I really want to help people with that, because if they'll get that figured out, it'll change the trajectory of their life.
Outstanding. Matt Martin, thank you so much for coming on the show.
It was my pleasure.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us on the Today Counts show. We got so much more planned for you. So stay tuned and stay connected on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and subscribe on YouTube. And remember, today counts.